The next thing I want to do is create a layout tab or a Paperspace that'll display a viewport into the drawing. I want to do this so I can control the scale of the drawing and provide a nice view of the sheet when I need to print it out. To do that, I'm going to go to the Layout 1 tab, and the Layout 1 tab will automatically have a viewport and then a scale into the drawing. The first thing that I want to do is make sure that the Layout tab is sized appropriately. Right now I believe it's 8.5 by 11, and I may want to use a larger scale or a larger paper size. So I'd want to change the size of my paper. To do that, I like to type page setup at the command line, and that'll open up the page set manager where I can see layout 1 is located here. There's a button to type or to modify the settings. And then here I can pick my plotter. This is going to be what is going to plot the drawing out. I'm going to use the AutoCAD PDF general documentation. And when I do that, then I get the paper size. And I'm going to use 11 by 17. And CB. It's going to plot the layout, which is the entire sheet. Here I can set the plot offset, and then the plot style table. This is a CTB drawing, so it's going to be based off, it's going to plot the colors of the line work based on the CTB file. And I'm going to do monochrome. If I hit edit, it'll give me a list of the colors and then how it's going to be plotted. So red, or color 1, is going to be screened 100%. And so it's going to be black. And if I scroll down, different colors will have different values. It looks like a lot of these have the same screening. But you'd want to use the appropriate one that you have set up. And then I'll hit OK. And then hit close. And as I do that, I saw that my paper sheet changed size. So if I click on this box or rectangle, I can see that the grips show up. And this is called a viewport. And this provides a viewport into my model space. And model space is where I included the image and the sidewalk. So I can go ahead and resize my viewport. I can double click within the viewport and that'll make it active. And I could zoom in to where my project's located at. And so it would be located here. I can double click outside of the viewport to unselect it. So I'd want to print this at scale. And right now I have a random scale of 0.0396. I'd want to use a standard scale. I can do that by coming up and then picking what scale I want. So I can do 1 inch equals 10, 1 inch equals 20, 30, 40, or 50. So in this case, it looks like 1 inch equals 20 would be adequate. There's an annotation scale as well, and this annotation scale will affect the size of the text and labels we place later on. And I want it to match my standard scale, so I'm going to do 1 inch equals 20. My viewport looks good, so I'm going to lock it and say yes. So that way when I click in it and I zoom in and out, it's going to lock the viewport to the scale and it won't zoom in and out on me. And it's on. So that looks okay. I'm just going to do RE for regen and try to get it to update the screen. So that would be my line work there. So I'm going to double click in here to activate the viewport. And you can also set the annotation scale from the status bar once you're in the viewport. And you can also use the icon to lock and unlock it. Let's say you want the crosswalk to be parallel to the bottom of the screen. In order to do that, you need to have the viewport unlocked. And there's a variety of tools that you can use to do this. My favorite way to do it is using what's called the twist or TW Lisp command. And that's available online. And when I do that, it allows me to pick 2 points. And then it'll rotate the view to pick those 2 points that I did. If you don't want to use a list command, you can also use the dview command. That's going to allow me to select some objects. And then I can type TW for twist, and that'll allow me to rotate the view based on the line work that I have selected. And if I knew the angle, I could type it in, or I can just click and eyeball it. And then now it's rotated around. If you do use the twist command, it rotates your cursor to match the angle here. And that's controlled by the snap ang value. And I can see that it rotated my drawing 304 degrees in the viewport. And so if I want my cursor back to follow the UCS, which is the Uniform Coordinate System, I can type 0 and then it's going to rotate back. I can then verify my scale and then lock the viewport. And either way will work. And this is a video on Paperspace and setting up the viewport, either rotated or using world coordinates.